Okay, this is Mike Franklin. I'm going to do a little discussion about a trip I made to Glens Falls, New York. I flew there from Fulton Oswego Airport. I'm going to um, I'm going to uh, describe the airplane trip, and then the property owner gave me a ride back up to the um, to what's called the Whitehall Armory. If I can find the directory. Where the heck is it? Whitehall Armory. Here we go. And I did some. I took some drone photos of this thing. Pretty fabulous, if I do say so myself. I'm going to move it up to here about a minute in, and you'll be able to see the property. Here we go. Little farther. There you go. There it is. And and it is a 30,000 square foot armory from 1899, and it has this other building here, so the property line is all in here. It has more than a 10,000 square foot gymnasium. It has a shooting range. It has a full commercial kitchen in the basement. It's got a beautiful bar set up. It has two suites and basically a game room. There could be more if you wanted to reconfigure it. The third level has all kinds of space. Actually, the fourth level, more could be done. There's racquetball courts in here. There's a full fitness center. This is called the Whitehall Athletic Club. Currently, it's run as in the athletic club. Let me see if I can get some good lighting on the other side. There you go. And just a fabulous property. And we'll be getting into more of that later. But it's just a historic building, and a second regiment, I believe, they participated in all kinds of things. Saipan. But anyway, this is in Whitehall, New York, and on the other side of this mountain, not too far, is Lake George, and this is on the Champlain Canal. It comes down from the Hudson, feeds right down to New York City, and that's and let's see if we can see where that is. We can see where the canal is. Let me move forward a little bit. Look right down the valley there. Let's see. Just a beautiful shot. I mean, look at that. This is spectacular. But maybe see if I can. Let me go back to the beginning where you can see. Yeah, there's the canal that goes through, and so it's very close by. But again, it's just a fabulous property. But anyway, and I also, let me see here, this one, and this is a same seller has this golf course. He has almost a mile of water frontage, and this is the Champlain Canal right here. So it has frontage here and frontage here. And let's get back where we have better lighting. We're going to come back across here. There's the Champlain Canal. And then we're going to look back at his golf course. And he owns all this frontage and this Augusta-style clubhouse. Let's move. There we go. It's a links course. And we're going to get in and take a look at the clubhouse. And he owns frontage all the way to back here. But yeah, he fashioned it after the Augusta Clubhouse, and there's a beautiful bar, and it's just a really neat setup. And you will be building a website for this later, so you'll be able to see that detail. But the purpose of the trip was to go up and see all that. And so now what I'm going to show you is the trip to get there. And there's getting there, and then there's getting back, and I don't know which one was more invigorating. So I started out here, and let me see here, right? And started out at Fulton Oswego, and I'm coming up over here, and as you see, it's not a straight line because I'm essentially dodging puffball clouds. You're supposed to stay out of the clouds. And there was a ceiling that wouldn't really let me get up above 2,500 feet, but there's these occasional puffball clouds that come out of nowhere and they generate a lot of turbulence. And I'm trying to avoid all of that, and it's just throwing the airplane around pretty good. It was not extremely uncomfortable. And then I decided to cut down south to avoid the mountains because the cloud layers were pushing me to mountaintop levels. So I cut down to try to avoid the higher elevation. And and I don't know what this is here. It wasn't there at the time. And so here I was able to get up some altitude, and I was getting up some cruising speed. And so I was. Let me see if I've got the. Let me scroll up a little bit here. See what my altitude was up here. It was 4,900 feet, and then all of a sudden the cloud layers came in, and it was forcing me down. And at this point, if I had to do it all over again, I might have tried to go into Saratoga because it was right in front of me. But these clouds were really low, and there was a tower down here that it was at 1,600 feet. And I go, I don't want to mess with that. And so at this point, I'm at what's my altitude? Let's see. I was at 1,700 feet, and there's, and I didn't know, I could see the tower on my ADS-B or my, it was over here somewhere, but still, it was getting a little too close for comfort. So, your training goes, and the clouds were coming right at me. If I'd gone another minute forward, another 2 minutes forward, I would have been in the clouds. And the training they give you says, if you're entering a cloud, note your heading and do a 180, and that's what I did. I did a 180. And I went back and landed at Fulton County Airport. And so I had to let the owner know that I wasn't going to make it on time. And so I had to sit there for a few hours and wait for those clouds to rise up. And it was pretty cool. I met the people at the airport there, and they specialize in restoring Cessna 195s. It's a version of Cessna that they made. It's a tail dragger with a radial engine that they made in the 40s and 50s, and pretty cool looking airplanes. And that's all they work on is restoring those things. So they gave me the tour of their facility, and that was very cool. So then after I gave it some time, I decided to head on over to Floyd Bennett Memorial Field over in Glens Falls. And here we go. And so I took off from here and just navigated my way around, trying to avoid clouds and trying to find, there's, mountains through this area, large hills. Some of them are, maybe 22,000 feet. I have to stay 500 feet below the cloud cover. Plus, you don't want to get too close to the clouds because the closer you get to them, the more turbulent it is. And so I had to try to find a way to get through this mountain pass and then down into the river valley, and then, where it's lower terrain, and then you can come up. And I was particularly wanting to be careful here because sometimes as the wind comes over the top of the mountains, it can force you down, and you got to be careful about that. And so, though, I just got into the valley, and then I came up and I landed, and that was very cool. So then the next day, I have to come back, and I stayed overnight at the Queensberry Hotel in Glens Falls, and I highly recommend the Queensberry Hotel. I think it was $107 the night for the hotel. And I don't know, they charged extra taxes and stuff, so I don't know what the total was. But anyway, real nice room. It was on the 5th floor, had some views, so I could look at the mountains and where the clouds were and watch the fog come off the river. And that was very cool. Really nice room. And I just hung out and looked at my videos and, did some flight planning. in the morning. Got up, did the same thing. Checkout was at 11, so I took my time because I knew the clouds, were not going to rise until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I killed some time in the hotel room just checking everything out and getting ready for the flight. And I went down and had breakfast, and I had eggs Benedict. I hadn't had that in years, and uh, and the breakfast was they give you $5 off a night Queensbury Hotel, Glens Falls. And there I'd forgotten my mask, so I sat outside, and it was pretty nice out. But here's the Queensbury Hotel right here. It's a historic hotel that they redid. It's a pretty cool lobby, and yeah, I hung out here for a little bit in front of this giant painting, and I had my eggs Benedict, and they had homemade corned beef to put on there. And it was like they gave you $5 off, so it was like $10 for breakfast, and it was fantastic, really good, and really good service. They got a pool. I could care less about the pool, but yeah, this is pretty typical of what the room looked like. It was pretty good. So I highly recommend the Queensbury Hotel. Really, it's nice. And so back to my return flight. So I had to wait till about 3:30. I took off, and the clouds were. I had room to get over the mountains, but I was getting pretty close to the clouds, and it was turbulent coming across here. It was a little unnerving, and I was taking off. I think the wind was gusting up to 20 miles an hour, but I think it might have been a little less than that at the time that I took off. But it was going right down the runway, so it wasn't a problem. I just got right off and just climbed as fast as I could so I could get up to 3,000 feet to get over these mountains. And I think the clouds were probably at 3,800 feet. So, it wasn't an issue. And I kind of dodged a few here and there. And then I come down this way because the mountains are bigger up here. So I cut down this way instead of coming straight across because I would have been pretty tight on these mountains going through here. So I cut down towards Saratoga Springs, and then cut back over to to the Fulton County Airport because I knew the terrain there. And actually, that's right here, and I knew the terrain. But right here is where the clouds started to come low again. It was sunny here, and so I was able to climb up. Let me see where I was at that time. So I climbed up to 2,900 feet, and let's see, green is altitude. So I got as high as 4,500 feet here, and I was going 104 miles an hour ground, 113 miles an hour ground. That's kind of amazing because I was going into a headwind. And so, I was going into maybe an 18-mile-an-hour headwind. Maybe it toned down at this location or something. I don't know, because it's surprising I'd be going that fast. But coming over these mountains, the altitude is, let's see, I climbed up, like I say, as high as, so when I coming across the mountains, that's probably about 3,000 feet. Because, like I said, the cloud layer is like 3,700, so I had to stay below that. But once the clouds passed, I climbed up and got a little smoother sailing without the turbulence, and then I headed west, and then I cut down. I thought so here I am in Johnstown. This is when I ran into clouds, and so I'm looking for ways to dodge various clouds. As you can see, I'm kind of waffling back and forth. Then I decide the cloud levels are coming down, and they're forcing me down. Let me see what my altitude is here. I'm at 2,300 feet. That's lower than I want to be, but I had to go that low because of the clouds. So the clouds are 500, 600, 700 feet above me, and so I'm cutting down here. So it starts to get very concerning. There's some windmills in here, and so I basically went to the side of those windmills, and it was getting concerning. The cloud cover was hard. I could see light in the distance, which made me feel better because it was getting late in the day. And so I decided I'm going to cut down and maybe follow the thruway. So, because I know there won't be anything directly over the thruway. Well, when I get down there, all the clouds had settled down into the valley. So there's no way I could follow that anymore. So I had to cut north, and I had to get past this one last ridge line. Let's see, where was I? Where was here? Yeah. Oop, what happened? I had to get past this one. Yeah, look, here's my speed is coming up. Yeah, look how my speed had gotten down to 62 miles an hour at this point. And I'm at 2,500 feet. And, stall on this airplane is 57. So, but anyway, so I look at and I go, this ain't going to work. So I had to cut up north, and I had to get, here I curve around to avoid the windmills, because I'm basically at the same level as the windmills, but I'm going to the left of them. I didn't want to, I'd have to swing way north to go around, and I didn't want to go into no man's land. And so I swung to the south of them. And then, and once I got over this, see, here's my altitude here, was the lowest I got was 2,100. And the terrain there, was, getting up to, 1,500 feet. So it was getting pretty marginal through this area. And then I had to just get over this ridge. And I think there's one more ridge I had to get over. And then the terrain steadily lowered. And from here, I was home free. And it was clear sailing. I had to fly around the airspace of Rome. And then it was just clear sailing back. When I got into here, I had to take that little curve because there was a twin-engine Cessna coming right at me at exactly the same altitude. And so my obligation is to go right. And he just kept going straight. And we were closing on each other fast. I mean, what speed was I going? I was going 100 miles an hour. And he was probably going 150. He had a tailwind, so he might have been going more than 150. So we were closing in on each other at least 250 miles an hour. And so anyway, I got out of his way, but I could see him the whole time on my ADS-B. Thank God for ADS-B. And let's see. And so then I cut back and down, and right about here, a flock of geese. I was right at 2,500 feet. Here it says 2,400. I was at 2,500 feet, and I was coming up behind a flock of geese. They went left, and I went right. I wonder if I can see a little jig in that for my directional change. Probably that little blip right there. I just turned right a little bit, and they all turned left. Amazing how they all know to turn in one sequence. Then I come in, and I do, I'm maintaining my altitude. I cross the midfield at 2,500 feet, 2,400 feet. And I teardropped in to 3-3, and it was so nice and calm, and it was just a beautiful ending to the trip, and all was good, and so that's my my recollection of the trip. On the trip down, it was. You see here. Yeah, this was terrifying in here. And I made the right call coming back. Maybe I could have skidded into Saratoga Springs. But I knew what the cloud conditions were here, so I just turned around and went back. I would have had to wait either way. It just would have saved me, a little bit of time. But, just, safe than sorry. And the other part was all the turbulence up here. That was not a good time. And you're wondering, am I going to be sitting through, 2 hours of this? And you don't know if the turbulence is going to be the whole trip. And it was not a good time up here. But it cleared up down here, and I was making some progress, and then, then that happened. But But they say get there itis will get you, and and if you have to be someplace, it might cause you to continue on here, and that could be fatal if you did that. And so I did the right thing, and I turned around and went back to where I knew I could get in, and I went in and I had some food with me, a sub and a soda, and I just got my nerves back in order and got my redid some more flight planning and got my act together to and waited for those clouds to rise so that I was fully prepared to make the next trip because I'm a new pilot. I've never been on a trip like this before, and I think I think that good old Dan taught me well. The everything that the training, it all came into play here, and so now it's a more practical use of everything that that I've been gone through in the training. And sometimes when you learn things in an academic style format, it doesn't really sink in until you have a real practical application. And this was a real practical application, and it was just a fantastic experience. And well, I'm happy to have lived through it. But anyway, normally it would be a straighter run to go right across here. Would have been impossible to do. These mountains, rise in this area, and there's no way you'd make it. You'd get, you'd be end up in the woods somewhere. Anyway, this is Mike Franklin, and that was my trip from Fulton Oswego Airport to Glens Falls, Floyd Bennett Memorial Field at Glens Falls, New York, and that'll do her for now.